Welcome back to Headlines. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First, Mexico has agreed to send troops to the U.S. border to delay the tariff and, more importantly, to make sure that Chuck Schumer can have the snacks that he needs. Then, USAID headquarters were closed in Washington, D.C., and their employees were told to stay out of the building. Now, if we shut them down, how else are we going to waste taxpayer money? I mean, we can't just light it on fire, can we? Meanwhile, Ellen DeGeneres is causing chaos in her fancy new English neighborhood. And finally, Bill Gates is worried that RFK Jr. is misleading people, because when it comes to controlling public health, Bill just hates competition. Okay, let's dive in. Chuck Schumer can breathe a sigh of relief. His Corona stash is safe. Mexico has agreed to deploy 10,000 troops to the U.S.-Mexico border in exchange for a one-month pause on President Trump's proposed 25% tariff on Mexico. This is going to be a huge relief to Chuck Schumer, who is very concerned about the tariff affecting his beer and guacamole.
Let's just take Super Bowl Sunday, okay? It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect your guac, because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico.
Chuck Schumer's priorities are crystal clear: beer, guacamole, and then America. Or maybe his concern about tariffs is just a ploy to distract us from his plan to turn the Senate into a giant game of beer pong. Schumer just really gets to the heart of the issue. Forget the cartels and the border crisis. The real tragedy would be him drinking a Bud Light. This might be the first time a CIA front got shut down before they could lie about it to Congress. USAID employees were told to stay home after President Trump agreed to shut it down. They also said that more than 600 employees reportedly were locked out of the agency's computer systems overnight. Now, many people think that USAID is a front for the CIA, but I don't know. I mean, why don't we listen to Secretary of State Marco Rubio talk about the USAID, and let's see if he can clarify it a little.
Well, look, I mean, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. The USAID is not an independent, non-governmental entity. It is an entity that spends taxpayer dollars, and it needs to spend it, as the statute says, in alignment with the policy directives that they get from the Secretary of State, the National Security Council, and the President. And they go back to my time in Congress. Okay, we would ask them questions. Who does this program fund? Who gets the money? We won't tell you. We don't need to tell you. We're apolitical.
If it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, then it probably spends a lot of time in Langley. On the bright side, shutting down USAID will save taxpayers some money. On the downside, it means at least one democratically elected leader might actually get to finish their term. Ellen is ruffling a few feathers in England. Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, moved to the Cotswolds after Trump's 2024 election win, buying an $18 million farmhouse. Her home extension plans sparked neighbor backlash over flood risks and potential damage to Roman ruins. The local parish council has even reportedly received multiple complaints from residents about their home. Turns out, Ellen moved to England just so she could be disliked by an entirely new group of people. I guess the real toxic workplace was her backyard. Bill Gates says that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is misleading people, expressing concern over RFK Jr.'s potential as health secretary. Oh, yes, Bill, we wouldn't want anyone to jeopardize your next vaccine research initiative.
What do you make of RFK and vaccines and what he's saying about it and the position he's been given in this incoming administration?
Well, he wrote a book saying that Tony Fauci and I kill millions of children and make billions of dollars with vaccines. And, people can judge for themselves whether that's correct or not.
So Bill Gates and Fauci are the good guys. Just two rich old men who coincidentally get wealthier every time there's a new pandemic. Nothing suspicious about that. Bill is worried about misinformation from RFK Jr. That's like Jeffrey Epstein being concerned about child safety. Maybe sit this one out, Bill. Thanks for watching Headlines. I'm Wes Austin. Good night.